A very good afternoon, dear students. The thought of the day is there is no elevator to success, you have to take the steps. Means don't try to find the shortcuts. Here, you have to focus on your efforts and ultimately you will be the successful person in your life. Just keep trying and focus on your work. I, Professor Sonal Agrawal, welcome you all in my online lecture. This is the lecture for the subject Indian Banking and Currency System, paper 5. Just to make you remind about what we did in the last lecture, that we have started our chapter number 1. In that we discussed the meaning of the bank, banking and banker. After that we started the topic about the constituent of the Indian banking system. That how the Indian banking system is bifurcated into the different categories. Then we discussed the role of banking in economic development, that how the banks perform the duty in the field of the economic development. After that, we discussed about the recent banking reforms that done in the year of 1991. Now today, we are going to start with the topic commercial banks in India. As you can see on the screen that commercial banks are bifurcated into the two categories, that are the non-scheduled commercial bank and scheduled commercial bank. Now we have discussed this all the things already in the topic of constituent of the Indian banking system. But now as we are going to study about the commercial banks, some of the revision part is there. That what do you mean by non-scheduled bank? The banks which are not registered under the second schedule of RBI according to the RBI Act is known as the non-scheduled bank. Or you can also say the unscheduled bank. Now the question arises, what do you mean by the commercial banks? Commercial banks in India are those banks which are registered under the Banking Regulation Act 1949. Again I am repeating, commercial banks in India are those banks which are registered under the Banking Regulation Act 1949. And under the commercial banks, two categories of banks are there, that are the non-scheduled commercial bank and scheduled commercial banks. Non-scheduled commercial banks are not registered under the second schedule of RBI Act 1949. And of course, the opposite of the non-scheduled, that is the scheduled bank. Scheduled bank is registered under the second schedule of the RBI Act 1949. Now the scheduled bank is further bifurcated into the three categories, that are the private sector bank, public sector bank and the foreign bank, or you can say the multinational bank. Here we have discussed all these things. Again, if you want to revise, so you can see the lecture of the constituent of the Indian banking system whenever the link will be open for the revision session. Then again the public sector bank is bifurcated into the two categories, that is the primary agricultural credit societies and state cooperative bank. And one more thing is the, you can say the central cooperative bank. Now today we are going to start with the functions of the commercial bank. That what the role or what the duties of the commercial banks that the banker has to be followed, or what the performance done by the banker of the commercial bank, or what are the functions of the commercial bank. All these topics are same. Now, as you can see, we have discussed the functions of the commercial bank as a separate chapter in your first year BCom. But as some of the students are new, they may be from the streams of FM or they may be from the streams of the SP, so they are not so much familiar with the topic. But the students of banking are so much familiar with the functions of commercial bank. We have discussed this topic as a complete chapter. So, in this year, in the third year BCom, we have to discuss in short. This is not so much IMP from the examination point of view, as we are going to discuss about the bank. So, we have to discuss about the commercial banks also. So, in a single lecture, we are going to, we will try to cover this entire topic. First thing, acceptance of the deposit. We are not talking about only the commercial bank. If any type of bank is there, the main function is accepting the deposit and granting the loan. Not only commercial bank is performing this type of duties, but all the banks are performing this types of duties. The first thing is the acceptance of the deposit. The most and the important functions of the commercial bank is to accept the deposit from the public Various societies or various sections of the societies, according to their needs and the economic conditions, deposit their savings with the bank with lots of confidence with the bank. Now, the banks accept the deposit by a way of different accounts. You are very much familiar with the types of accounts. They are the current deposits, or you can say the current account. Yeah, the second one is the fixed deposit, or you can say your fixed deposit account. And the third one is the savings deposit, or you can say your savings account. So let us discuss about it one by one, starting with the current deposits or the current account. So first thing, the depositor of such deposit can withdraw and deposit the money whenever they desire. Again, I am repeating, in the current account, the depositors can withdraw and deposit the money whenever they require. So, the bank has to keep the full amount of deposit in the form of cash always with the bank. So, ultimately, the bank has to maintain the liquidity position for these types of depositors in a high amount. Ultimately, because of this reason, the current depositor account, the current depositors are not able to get the interest. Or even some of the banks are providing the interest, but the rate of interest is very, very low. This deposit is also known as a demand deposit. Why? Because this types of deposit will be payable to the customer on the demand of the customer. That's why it is known as the demand deposit. The second one we are going to discuss is about the fixed deposit or the fixed deposit account. So if you are having the fixed deposits, so deposits of you are deposited for a definite period of time. Here, the deposits cannot be withdrawn before the expiry of the particular time period. That's why this type of deposit is also known as the time deposit. Because you as a customer are able to withdraw the amount after the maturity date, you can say, or after a particular time period. Suppose if you have started a FD account with the amount of 50,000 for 5 years, so you are not able to withdraw the amount before 5 years. You are able to withdraw the amount from your FD account after the maturity here, or after you can say the completion of the 5 years. That's why this type of deposit is known as the time deposit. Consider here that withdrawal, not withdrawal, but the break of the FD, that if you want the amount before the maturity date, and if you want to break your FD, that is a secondary point. But according to the rule, you are not able to withdraw the amount before the maturity date. The next one is the saving deposit. In such types of deposit, money up to a certain limit can be deposited and withdrawn once and twice in a week. Means if you want to deposit or if you want to withdraw the money, so there are some limitations. These limitations are maybe differ from bank to bank, and the rate of interest that you as a customer is going to earn from this account is ultimately high comparison to the current account, but it is low in comparison with the FD account. So if you are having surplus that is not in use with you for a longer period of time, then only you can go for a fixed deposit account. But if you are having a surplus, but you may require the surplus in near future, so you have to go with the saving account. And ultimately, when you have to perform the functions of withdrawal and deposit number of times in a day, then you will go for a current deposit account. So via these three are the basic accounts. There are so many types of accounts are there, recurring account, PPF account, but these three are the basic accounts that the banker is going to accept the deposit from the public. So we all are very, very familiar with these three types of accounts. The second function of the commercial bank is the giving loan. As we all know there, this is the very, very important function for any bank, not only the commercial bank, to give the advance to the customer by charging some of the interest from the customer. It is not free of cost. If you as a customer want the loan from the bank, then you have to pay the interest. And whatever interest which is gained by you, or you can say earned by you from your deposits account, and whatever the interest will be paid by you from your loan account, the difference between these two interest rates is ultimately the main source of income for any bank. Then the question arises that how the bank is able to grant the loan to the customer. The banker is not granting the own money, banker is dealing with the public money. So banker creates, we can say the banker creates loan out of the deposits, and the banker also creates deposits out of the loan. So that's why this function of a bank is also known as the credit creation. I hope it is clear to you. Again, I am repeating the line. The bank creates the loan out of the deposit. How? Because the bank is going to give the amount out of your deposit as a loan to the customer, and bank also creates the deposit out of the loan. The means the bank grant the loan to the customer, the money circulates in the market, ultimately the purchasing power of, as the money circulates in the market, demand rise, and the purchasing power of the public is going to be increased, and ultimately income is going to be increased, and income is more, so the savings is more. If savings is more, then of course deposit is more. So it is a long chain. Just in short, you have to remember that deposit is also created by a loan. So the bank creates loan out of deposits, and bank creates deposits out of loans. So that's why this function is known as the credit creation function. Now the question arises how the banks grant you the loan. As we discussed, that the bank accepts the deposit by way of the three basic accounts. So for granting the loan, there are some types of rules or accounts also. So here the bank generally grant the loan via way of following these types of account. They are the cash credit account, demand loan accounts, or short-term loan you can say. So first question arises that what do you mean by cash credit? So in this type of credit scheme, bank advance the loan to the customer on the basis of, or you can say on the security of bonds, inventories, and other approved securities. Here, under these schemes, bank enter into an agreement with the customer to which money can be withdrawn many times during the year. We focus many times during the year. There is no limitations. And whatever amount withdrawn by you as a customer, on that particular amount only you have to pay the interest, not on the whole amount. Under this setup, the bank open an account on their customer and deposit the loan money in that particular account. Suppose you as a customer wants to take the cash credit of 5 lakh rupees on the security of your inventories. Then the banker will open a cash credit account with your name, and the banker will deposit the 5 lakh rupees in your cash credit account. But as per your need, you have withdrawn just the 3 lakh rupees. So you have to pay the interest amount on just 3 lakh rupees, not on the 5 lakh rupees. So this is you can say the advantages of having cash credit account. And one more thing, that the cash credit, it is a continuous account. In case of loan, if you have repaid the loan, then loan account is closed. If you want to take the second loan, then again you have to do all the procedure to take the loan. But in case of cash credit, suppose the amount of 5 lakh is over. Now if you want the more amount, then you can continue with that account only. No need to open the second account with the name of cash credit account. Yeah? So cash credit account, it is you can say a permanent account. The account will be closed as per your instructions. Yeah? If we as a customer you feel that now there is no need of a cash credit account, then you can close the account. Otherwise the account is a permanent account. But the loan account, it is a temporary account. The loan account is opened till you are not paid the full amount of the loan with interest. The second, as I said, is the demand loan. Here, demand loan are such loans that can be recalled on demand by the banks. The entire loan amount is to be paid in lump sum. Here, please be focused about the payment, that the entire loan account is to be paid in lump sum by credited in to the account, or you can say to the loan account of the borrower, and thus the entire loan becomes chargeable to the interest with the immediate effect. As we all are familiar with this function, that if as a customer you have taken a loan of 10 lakh rupees, so whether you are using the 10 lakh or not, you have to pay the amount of the interest amount on that 10 lakh rupees. The banker is not interested that whether you are using that amount or not, whether you are keeping that money idle with you, but you have to pay the interest. Why? Because the bank paid you the lump sum amount at a time in your loan account, and now you have to pay. You will be chargeable on that account, you can say. The next is the short-term loan. You can take the personal loan for the shorter time period to maintain your working capital of your industries, or if you are in a priority sector, then also to meet the short-term needs of you can take the short-term loan from the bank. The next function that we are going to discuss is the overdraft facility, and we all are very familiar with this function, that bank advance a loan to the customer up to a certain amount for the overdraft. This is not the ultimate, you can say unlimited amount. The customer is able to take the overdraft facility for a limited amount only. If there is no deposit in the current account, then the person is authorized or allowed by the bank to withdraw the more amount from the current account. Here, the excess amount that is withdrawn by the customer is known as the overdraft. Here, the customer has to pay the interest on the excess amount only. For example, suppose the person is having a current account, and in that current account, the person is having a balance of 10,000 rupees. If the person withdrawn 11,000 rupees from the current account, in that situation, the customer has to pay the interest on that 1,000 rupees only, that is exchange withdrawal by the customer, not on the 11,000, because 10,000 is already balance in the current account. Now the rule says that the overdraft facility is only and only available on current account holders, but nowadays, because of the modern banking, if your credit reputation is so good with the banker, your credit rating is so high, so the overdraft facility is also available on some of the savings accounts. We focus here on some of the savings account, not all the savings accounts. It requires that your credit reputation must be too good with the banker. Then the next function that the banker has to perform is discounting of bill of exchange. We all are familiar with this word bill of exchange. You are writing bills receivable on the asset side of the balance sheet. You are writing bills payable on the liability side of the balance sheet. What are these bills payable and bills receivable? These are the bills of exchange. Here, suppose you are having a bills receivable in your balance sheet of 10 lakh rupees, which are going to be matured after 1 year. But if you require money nowadays, here, or you can say today, so no need to wait for 1 year, just you can take the facility which is given by the banks to discounting the bill. The bank will discount your bill, or the bank will pay the amount of your bill after deducting some of the charges or after deducting the discount. Yeah? And on the maturity date, the banker will collect the amount from the debtor in behalf of you. And the difference between these two amounts, that is given by banker to you and that is collected by banker from the debtor, the difference between these two amounts is known as the discount, and the discount is known as the discount is the income for the bank. Suppose the bill, as I said, the amount of the bill is 10 lakh rupees, and after discounting the bill, the banker will give you the 9,50,000 rupees. So the remaining 50,000 is known as the discount. That discount is the income for the bank. On the maturity date, the banker is going to collect the full 10 lakh rupees from the debtor. So to provide these types of facility, what is the income source for a banker? The discount. The next is the function that is performed by the commercial bank is investment of funds. As the definition of bank says, that banker or the bank is going to collect the deposits from the public with the objective of lending and investing. Again I am repeating, with the objective of lending and investing. So we have done with the first objective, that is lending, that is the giving loan to the customer, and the second objective is the investing. Bank is going to invest your money somewhere to earn the profit. Now, generally banks invest the surplus fund with the bank in the two types of securities. First one is the government securities, or second one you can say the other securities. So what are the examples of the government securities? Government securities, it includes both the securities, the central government securities and the state government securities. You can take the example of treasury bills and SC, National Savings Certificate, The banker is going to invest these types of securities. Why? Because there is no chances of bad debt, there is no risk attached with these types of securities. If the banker is going to invest in these types of securities, so the risk level is very low. Why? Because banker is dealing with the public money, so the banker requires safety also, safety of the fund of the public. So the banker is going to invest in these types of securities. And the other securities includes of the state associates bodies like the electricity board, it may be the housing board, it may be the debentures of the land development banks, and it may be the UTI, it may be the shares of the regional rural bank. So many securities are there where the bank is going to invest. Why? Because in these types of the securities, the risk level is very low. Again, I am repeating why the bank requires low risk. Because no, banks is not going to invest their own money. Bank is going to invest the public money, and bank is going to deal with the public money. And you as a public, you as a customer has handed over your money with the bank with lots of confidence. And it is a duty, and it is a, you can say, the obligation of a banker to maintain your trust. If the trust is going to be breached by the customer, then ultimately the market reputation of the bank is going to be affected. If the market reputation is affected, then ultimately the number of the customer and the deposit is going to be affected, and the bank has to face the loss also, or the banker has to face the loss, opportunity loss of profit. The next function that is performed by the bank is known as the agency functions. Yeah. Why it is known as the agency functions? Because at that time, the banks perform some of the functions in behalf of the customer. So the bank performs as an agent of the customer. Here, these all are not the duty of a bank. The bank is performing some of the duty in behalf of the customer after charging some commission and charges. At that time, banker will call the agent and the customer will call the principal. So that's why this type of functions is known as the agency functions of the bank. Here the bank, or you can say the banker, is a representative of the customer. Here, customer give their consent for performing such types of functions. You can take the example, so many examples are there. I'm giving you the list of examples that the bank will collect your checks, draft, bill of exchange, dividend of the shares from your customer. Bank will also make the payment for your client at the time that you have mentioned the time for the payment, that the 10,000 rupees should be paid to the Mr. X on 31st August. That the banker will pay this amount to Mr. X on 31st August in behalf of you. Banker will also pay your insurance premium. We all are aware about that. We have taken an insurance policy and regularly we have to pay the installments of that premium. Like what we did, we just give the instruction to the banker that deduct the installment amount every month from our account or from my account, and we have give the instructions about the amount or the insurance company. Then in behalf of the customer, every month on a particular day, the banker is going to pay the amount of the insurance. The banker is also going to pay your installment, your income tax, or your interest to your shareholders. All these functions are performed by the bank. Suppose in a big industries, their list of the shareholders are there. The bank, as an industrial or as a businessman, what you have to do? Just you have to give the list of the shareholders, the amount of interest that is to be payable to the shareholders in a soft form, not in a hard form. Yeah? You have to give this all details to the banker, and the banker will pay the interest to the shareholder. Why? Because if you are as a owner going to write the number of checks, so it will be waste of time for you. So in behalf of you, the banker will perform these types of duty. Just what you have to do, you have to make a list, and at the end of the list, this single signature is required. Then also banker will purchase and sell the securities. Banker will securities here. It may be the shares, it may be the debentures on behalf of you as per your instruction. That just if you want to share your shares or debenture, that instruction will be given by you to the banker that I want to sell my shares on this particular amount. So you have handed over the documents of your shares or debenture to the banker. So at the right time, if any customer found, then the banker will share your securities in behalf of you. The next, banks also arrange settlement of your money from one place to the another place and according to your convenience. We are able to use so many services to transfer the money. We can use check, draft, we can use money online mode. So these types of functions are performed by the bank to transfer your money from one place to the another. Then the banker will also perform so many miscellaneous functions. Why it is called the miscellaneous functions? Because the income from these types of functions are negligible for the bank, but for the customer satisfaction, to attract the customer, to retain the customer, these types of functions are banker has to do. Or you can say the extra facility which is given by the banker to you, that is known as the miscellaneous functions performed by the banker. That the banker, for example, that you are using the locker facility here to safeguard your valuables. At that time, the banker will call the bailee and you as a customer will call the bailer here. So this locker facility is not a mandatory facility that the banker has to give you, but why the banker is going to provide you these types of facilities? To increase the customer satisfaction, to retain you as a customer. If these types of facilities are not provided by the banker, then ultimately what you are going to do? You are going to switch your account to any another bank. So banks make arrangement of the locker for the safe custody of the valuable assets of the customer. It may be your gold, your jewelry, silver, any legal documents that you want to safeguard. So you have to keep your assets, valuables with the locker, and the banker is liable or responsible to safeguard your valuables. And banker will also give the reference for the customers. And banker will also collect the necessary and useful statistics about the various industries, or you consider the banker will also do the industrial analysis in behalf of you. If you want to do the analysis, or if you are not able to do the analysis, and if you want to get the merchant banking services from the bank, so in behalf of you, these types of functions are also performed by the bank. Here, if you want to suppose you want to start a business. In the market, you are having a surplus money, you are having a fund with you, but you are not able to decide that which type of business you have to start in this particular location. So in behalf of you, banker will do the market research, a banker will do the industrial research, and the banker of course will charge you something. But in exchange of the charges, this types of facility is also provided by the expert person, or you can say the merchant department of the bank. The next, banker will also facilitate the foreign trade, that the banker will undertake to sale or purchase of any foreign exchange if he wants to do, or you can say in behalf of you. Banker will also advise the client to investment related decision, that if you are a customer of a bank and you want to invest in the shares of some company, but you are not able to take the decision that in which company shares you have to invest. So for that investment purpose, the banker will give you the advice. At that time, banker performs the duty of advisor. Here, but ultimately the banker will not advise you, not free of cost. The banker will charge you, but the final decisions are in the hand of the customer. That the banker will, suppose example, banker will give you the advice that if you purchase the shares of XYZ Limited, then of course there is a chances of profit. The banker will give you this type of advice, but ultimately whether to purchase the shares of XYZ Limited or not, this final decisions will be taken by the customer. And bank will also underwrite your shares in the venture if you as a businessman wants to start any new business in the market, and the provision of the Companies Act says that certain percentage or the minimum level of the shares should be subscribed by the general public. If it is not subscribed by the general public, then you as a newcomer is not able to start the business or not able to start any new projects. So there is always a question mark, or you can say always an uncertainty that whether the public will be ready to purchase your shares or not. So to remove these types of burden or these types of mental tension, you will go for the underwriting facilities which is given by the bank. Bank will give the guarantee that if the public is not ready to purchase your shares, then banker will purchase your shares or debentures. So now you are free from the burden of the minimum subscription. If the public will not purchase the shares, the remaining shares will be purchased by the banker. And but if the public will be ready to purchase your minimum subscription shares, then ultimately, even though you have to pay the commission, underwriting commission to the banker to give you that type of guarantee. It's not so that if the public is purchased the share now, so no need to pay the underwriting commission. No, whether the public purchased your share or not, you have to pay the underwriting commission to the banker to give these types of guarantee. On the basis of why? Because on the security of or on the basis of that guarantee, you started your business, you launched your project. Then banker will also provide you the facility of letter of credit in the business of import and export. Your banker is ready to take you guarantee. Why? Because in case of import and export, the second party is unknown party. There is no personal relationship or the direct contact with the purchaser and seller. So now the seller requires some of the confidence that the purchaser is able to pay the amount. So for this type of guarantee, the seller requires some person or the valuable person to take the guarantee. Here the valuable institute or the trustworthy institute is the banker. Banker will take your guarantee in behalf of you as a banker via writing the letter of credit. If you are the customer of a banker. If you are not a customer of a banker, then you are not able to get the letter of credit from that particular bank. How the banker will ready to take the guarantee of you? The banker will do the detailed analysis of your financial statement. These all are the extra functions or the miscellaneous functions which will be performed by the bank to satisfy the customers in a better way. So these all are the functions that the commercial bank has to perform. We discussed in today's lecture. What we discussed today, we started with the outline of the last lecture, and we have started with the commercial bank that is bifurcated into the two categories. That first one is the non-scheduled bank and the second one is the scheduled bank. Then the first thing, what do you mean by non-scheduled bank and what do you mean by scheduled bank? So just you have to remember this thing that if the bank is registered under the second schedule of RBI Act 1949, then the bank will be called scheduled bank. And if it is not registered under the second schedule of RBI Act 1949, then it is called the non-scheduled bank. If it is a scheduled bank, then it is compulsory that the bank has to follow all the guidelines which is given by the RBI. There are a list of the conditions to be a scheduled bank which we have already discussed in the topic Constitute of Indian Banking System. Now to be a non-scheduled bank, what is the condition? You can say the basic condition is the bank is not registered. Yeah, even though the non-scheduled bank also has to maintain the CRR and the SLR, but not with the RBI. They have to maintain the CRR and SLR with themselves at a particular main office. And scheduled bank has to maintain the CRR with the bank and SLR with himself. Now the scheduled bank is bifurcated into private sector bank, public sector bank and foreign bank. Further, the public sector bank is bifurcated into primary agricultural society, state cooperative bank, and one more level is the central cooperative bank. That is not mentioned in this diagram, but as we discussed in the topic Constitute of the Indian Banking System. Now we have started with the functions of the commercial bank. We have explained about all the functions, starting with the first one, accepting deposit, how the banker accept the deposits from the public via way of different accounts. It may be your current account, deposit accounts, savings account. How the banker will grant you the loan via way of different types of account like loan account, cash credit facility, loan for a longer time period, or you can say a direct loan. It may be your personal loan. Different types of loans are there. Then the banker will also give you the overdraft facilities, means to withdraw excess amount comparison to the balance that is available in your account. The rule says that the overdraft facility is available only for the current account holder, but nowadays because of the modern banking, this facility is also available on some of the saving account if credit reputation is too high. Then we discussed about discounting of bill of exchange, that if we are having a bills receivable and if he wants the money, then we can go for the facility of discounting with the bank. And on the maturity date, the banker will collect the amount from the debtor. Then we have discussed that the banker is going to invest our funds somewhere. Why? Because ultimately banker is going to accept the deposit for the purpose of investment. Why? Because banker has to earn the profit. So the banker has to invest the money. Then the banker will also do the agency functions. I have given the list of the examples of the agency functions. And the banker has to do so many miscellaneous functions to satisfy the customers. Here, to increase the satisfaction level to the customers. I have given you so many examples of the miscellaneous functions. So this is the end of the topic. I hope it is clear to you. This is the just the basic of the, you can say, of first year. Now today, this is the end of the lecture. We are going to meet in the lecture. Till then, stay home, stay safe. We are going to meet in next lecture. Thank you.